Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Simekemza James. For new and old subscribers, you're all welcome to today's tutorial where I'm going to be teaching you how to cut a senator kaftan, guys.
So
So
guys,
let's
to
get
cut
into it
our
without
kaftan,
further
right, we're
ado.
going to start from the front. So I've gone ahead to fold our fabric in half, and the measurements to how much I will be needing that made me to fold it like this is this. You're going to be dividing your client's body measurement, like the largest side of the person's body. For some people is the chest, for some people is the stomach area, and some people is the hip area, right? So there is no standard measurement or standard place to use. So for this client is the chest measurement, which is 44 inches. So I'm going to divide 44 by 4 because I'm working on one half of the front now, and then the reason is because I'm folding it in half, right? So I'm going to be measuring 44 divided by 4 is 11 inches. So I have 11 here, like so, here, right? Then I'll need 1 inch for sewing allowance, which I have here. Then I have this remaining 1.5 inches here or more for, is going to be for the slit side, right? So this is how to know the measurements that you will need. So the first thing I'm going to be measuring after doing that is to go ahead and fold this side nicely and give it a nice press, right? You would want to iron it because you want it to be like it to come out like exactly what you want. You do not want errors or anything like that, right? So that's why you will iron it nicely to give you this crease line around here, which is, so I'm going to go ahead and measure the length of the client, right? So the length of the kaftan is 39 inches, right? So I'm going to add 3 inches for hemming allowance on the hem side of the shirt, right? So instead of 39 inches, I'm going to have 42. That's including that 3 inches, right? So I'm going to mark that 42 point here, like so. I'll go ahead and mark the 42 on both sides, like so. I'll mark 42 here as well. Then I'm going to square the line out, right? Now there are so many ways people cut their senator wear, but I discovered this works perfectly well for me, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and cut this out. Then I'll fold again so I can um cut the back. So for the back side, guys, I just folded it in half as well, and I ironed it nicely. So now I'm going to come over with my front side and lay it on the back with the hem side matching each other, and you want it to be the exact same thing on the crease line, right? So you just go ahead and arrange this nicely on top of it, like I have here, right? So by the time you do that, you're going to go ahead and on this side, that's this side that is the upper side, I'm going to be adding 4 inches to the to the back side. I'll be marking 4 inches from here upwards, right? So I will do the same thing. You can go ahead and mark 5, is fine, but 4 inches is okay, and I do not want to waste my fabric, so I'm trying as much as I can to manage my fabric. So I'm going to cut from these 4 inches. So basically what I'm doing is that I'm having a longer back side, right? So the back side of my kaftan is not like it's going to be longer when I'm done, but you see why we need that extra measurement there. So you start working on your bodies, right? So after I've done that, the next thing that I'm going to be doing, right, is to move on this front side, the front side, which is the shorter side, I'm going to be marking my neck width, right? So this is how to calculate your neck width. You're going to do your neck measure. Okay, so guys, I'll just drop the formula on the screen so that you don't get confused. So I'll drop the formula on the screen, right? So I'm going to be marking 2.6, right, on the front neck, and then for the depth I'm marking 2.6 as well for the depth, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and use my French curve to mark my neck round, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and mark. Sorry guys, my chalk is a little bit small, so you can see this is my neckline. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing is from here, right, I'm going to be coming down, right, by 3 inches. So I'm going to mark my 3 inches here. Then I'm going to connect that 3 inches to this point, the beginning side of the neck, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and draw my line like so, right? So by the time I do this, I'm going to measure, I'm going to cut this slanted line. So that's going to be my shoulder slant, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and now I'm cutting only the front side, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and cut that side out like so, right? So the next thing I'll be doing is I'm going to go ahead and slant this side, right? So on this side I'm going to measure, when I on this side, you remember I slanted it by 3 inches that I cut out. So here I'm going to come up by 3.5 because I used 3 inches for my slant here. So I'm going to use 3.5 here, and I'll use the same 3 inches here, right? So I'm going to connect that line like so. Then I would mark. Then I'm going to trim off as well again, right? So by the time I'm done, I'm going to overlap here. So it's going to overlap this line, the slanted line is going to overlap by 1/4 inch, right? So I'll overlap it, then I'm going to move it so I can press nicely, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a nice press. Make sure it's overlapped with just 1/4 inch, right, before you press down. So you can see it's nicely ironed like so over the front side, right? So from here now, this point here, I'm going to mark 4.5, right? So I'm going to mark 4.5 inches like so. Then I'll just, now from here is what I'm marking, 4.5 inches. Then from this point as well, I'm going to be marking my 2.6 inches again, right? So I'm just going to connect it nicely to this point like so, right, to give me my neck line, right? So I'm just going to go in and cut out I'm going to first off cut my front neckline out, right? Then I lay the fabric again nicely and cut out the back side. So it's a little bit tricky here, so I'm just going to go in like this first. So my neck is cut out now, right? So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is to mark my shoulder measurement, which is going to be starting from here. So my shoulder that I'm working with here is 19 inches. So I'm going to mark half of that 19 inches that I have, which is 9.5. So I'll place my 9.5 from here. Then I'll mark to the 9.5 point on my shoulder, like so, right? So on this point, I'm going to add half of an inch, which will be the allowance that I'm going to use to connect, to join the sleeve, right? So I'll mark half inch here. Now from that point, I'm going to measure my armhole downwards, which is 9.5. So I'm going to mark 9.5 like so. I'll just connect it in a straight line, right? So on the 9.5 line, that's from here to here, I'm going to mark the chest measurement, which is 44 divided by 4, 11. I'm marking 11 here, like so. Then I'm going to mark 1 inch for sewing allowance, right? So by the time I do this, I'm going to get, now I'll measure what I have here up to here. I'll just measure it here. I have now 9.75, so I'm going to mark that 9.75 here, like so. Then I'll square it out like so using a ruler. I'll just square out the line, right? So by the time I do that, I'm going to measure the line starting from here. I'll measure to this point, which is 9.5, right? Then I'll find half of 9.5 on this side, which is going to be here. That is 4.75. Then on that point, I'm coming in, right, by 0.6 inches, right, like so. Then I'm going to be using my armhole curve. Now on this point, which is the main measurement, that's the 11-inch point, I'm going to connect that point to the 0.6 that I came in here, right? So I'm just going to use my chalk to mark this point like so, right? Then I'm going to connect from here to this point like so. Now the reason why I came in like this is to eradicate that bulkiness that happens around the armhole side in front of your shirt. So this will eradicate that. You can go in up to 1 inch if you wish, but I do not want to do it that much, right? So this side is going to be the front armhole, but for the back armhole, I'm going to be connecting this point to this line here. Instead of here, it will be here, right? So I'll just go ahead and connect it like so, and then like this, right? So this is it about our armhole. So I'm going to be cutting that side out. So I'll start with the back armhole. Right, I'll cut that out. Then I'll just grab only the front side. Then I'll cut out the front armhole. Mind you, my scissors is not cutting through to the back armhole, right? Please, when you're cutting, you make sure you use a sharp scissors. I didn't realize this scissors that I'm using is not that sharp. So this is it about our armhole. This side is the back, and the inner one is for the front armhole. So the next thing we are going to move is we'll move our fabric, right? Then we are going to measure to where the waistline is, right? Now you do this only if the person's figure waist measurement is smaller than the chest measurement. Then on the waist measurement, which mostly is around 17 to 18, 17, 18, 19 to 20 inches, you go ahead and mark the person's waist circumference, divide by 4, right? Whatever you measure is what you mark, and then you go ahead and impute that. But for this client, the waist circumference is equal to the chest circumference, right? I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't, you can go ahead and comment your questions in the comment section. I'll be there to answer you, right? So now I'm going to move this back to the hem side of the shirt. So you remember we added 3 inches on the hem side, right? So I want to measure my slit, right? So on we marked 3 inches for hemming allowance, so we are going to mark that 3 inches point. Then from the 3-inch point, we are going to mark 8 inches, which is going to be the length of our slit. You can do 7 inches. I just love longer slits, that's why I'm using 8 inches. So you mark this 8-inch point like so, right? So including the 8 inches is going to be a total of 11 inches. That's including the hemming allowance, right? So on this point, I'm going to go ahead and mark that 11 inches. That's the hip circumference now. Divide by 4 is what I'm going to be marking here. Then that 1 inch for sewing allowance, I'll mark it. Then I'm going to leave this 1 inch for hemming the slit side. That's for folding this slit side, right? So I'm going to connect this allowance here to this sewing allowance here. Now I'm going to do that with my ruler, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and mark my allowances. I'll go ahead and make my marks, right? Like so. Now I do not want the shirt to just go like that without any shape or anything, so I'm going to come to the waist area, which I'm going to be using 19 inches, right? So this is somewhere around here. So I'm just going to come in by half of an inch on that point, like so. Then I'll just connect. So it's just going to be like a little dot on that side. Now this will just help to give the shirt some form of shape on the shirt, right? Or on the kaftan, whatever, is still a shirt, right? So I'm going to go ahead and cut this side out, right? So I'll just go ahead and cut from here. So by the time I get to this line, I'll just cut it out like so, right? So our kaftan is nice and ready, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I have a tutorial on sleeve patterns. So if you want to see how to draft a sleeve for this kaftan, I'm going to be linking that tutorial in the description box, right? So what I'm going to be doing now is to measure the neckline so that we'll be sure we have the correct thing, right? So I'm going to start measuring from here. From this point, I'll measure like so. Then I'll come round on the neck. I'll go round till I get to this front side. So I started measuring from the back till I got here. So you can see I have around 99.25. So I'm going to multiply that, which is around 18 inches, which is the client's measurement, right? So which means we are still on track, right? So that's what we have around that side. So this is it about cutting um your basic senator kaftan, right? The sleeve tutorial is going to be linked in the description box. And then if you want to learn how to do the plackets, the pockets and all that, let me know in the comment section. I'm going to be bringing varieties of plackets for this senator kaftan, right? So I just want you to see it clearly. This is what the back looks like, and then this is what the front side looks like. So this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do ensure to subscribe. If you have comments, you leave them in the description box. Sorry, you leave them in the comment section. I'm going to be there to answer you. You have questions, suggestions, just go ahead and ask them there. And if you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Share this video with your friends, guys. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I come with the sewing of this tutorial, and also the plackets and the pockets tutorial and every other tutorial, guys. Don't miss out. Subscribe, guys. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.